Awesome. Well, hello there, Sondra. How are you?
I am so much better now. It's so nice to see you.
I'm so happy to see you too and catch up with you and just see where you're at and hear it all. So, you and I had a coaching call not long ago, a few months back. And it was such a great thing to get to know you a little bit. So, really, one of my strongest memories is that you are a girl after my own heart. Love the wine.
We love the wine.
Love the wine. But we had such a good conversation around that.
Yeah.
Do you remember the one thing we came away with?
Yes. No drinking on Monday,
Yeah.
or to stop drinking on Monday, because that totally blew my mind.
Yeah. Why did it blow your mind?
Because I think I felt so guilty that I really want those 2 or 3 glasses of wine when we're having dinner, and I know I shouldn't. And should I just quit entirely? Like all the things. When you said just don't drink on Monday, I was like, I can do that.
Yeah. So tell me, how has it been since?
So I did okay on the not drinking on Monday. So I started my foundation class in September, and we had a crazy fall, and my husband was not ready to get all the alcohol out of the house, which I can understand, because there's been times when he's ready and I'm not ready.
Totally.
So when it's around, it's hard. We have it all cleaned out now, and it's not hard. It's not hard. I just want it at that moment in time, and then when it's not there, then I don't care anymore. I did also switch to, which sounds crazy, a tequila soda drink instead of the wine if I'm out somewhere, and it just doesn't make me feel as bad. It doesn't seem as intoxicating as quickly, which I know sounds ridiculous because I just said tequila, but kind of recognizing wine is more of a frenemy than a friend has been helpful.
That's fabulous.
And when we got the alcohol out of the house, the weight immediately started moving.
That's what's so crazy about it, right? It's such an inflammatory substance, and it really does. I talk about it a lot in our courses and really educate you around like what's happening physiologically to me when I'm having the alcohol. And those kind of aha moments. You've said a lot of really important things here. I just want to kind of cheer you on so many levels, because alcohol, I think it's such a difficult thing, because there's so many like cultural moments where we're like, oh, let's have a drink, or there's so many celebratory things, or there's so many moments, and it is a habitual and an addictive substance. So it has that extra edge to it that makes it harder to get away from. But what you've outlined so nicely is that what we teach you guys is like that first layer is your environment. And when your environment is clean, like you may want it for that moment, like you said, and those are what we call urges and cravings. And urges and cravings are transitory moments. They only last about at the maximum up to 10 minutes. And they're there because of the habitual patterning of what we see and hear and do repeatedly. So you're walking in the same front door, and you're passing by the same island in the kitchen, and you're going to the same fridge and sitting on the same square of the couch, and your brain says, oh, wine goes next, right?
Yeah. It's time to cook dinner. Well, step one is get something to drink while I do it, because that just makes it seem better, even though it really doesn't. But and I did think about the environment thing, because that was step one, and that just wasn't a step that I did at the time. And that it's just, it feels like you're wrestling with this 800-pound gorilla, and then when it's not here, you're really not. I'm not.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I was just excited to hear that, and I kind of hope that will be your go-to. That's one of those things, like it becomes my go-to with everything, right? Of like even coming through the holidays, like things come in the house. Like Boyer sent me this giant box of chocolates and teenage boys, and I was like, open that, leave it on the counter.
Right.
Gone,
It goes
right?
away. Right.
It goes away. Like if it's there though, you wrestle with it, you make that decision over and over and over again not to eat it. And we talk a lot about that decision fatigue that we experience when something's there. And that's what happens with the wine is like and everyone wants to be self-loathing about it. Like, what's wrong with me? How am I broken? Like, why can I not do this? It's none of that.
It's so ingrained.
Yeah.
I failed. I'm terrible. I don't know why, but it definitely felt that way. And now that it's out, I've said, let's just keep it out until I get, where I want to go. I didn't do sober January, which my husband does every year with no problem. It drops like 15 pounds in 15 minutes. And I didn't love him. I'd have to kill him. But I decided not to because I was out with friends this week and I had one drink. And I don't want to, I just don't want that I'm on, I'm going to be perfect for this long. I was like, no, I'm not going to sign up for that this time. Because I usually say, sure, I'll do it with you. And I make it like 3 days.
Yeah.
I'm like, never mind. I don't want to do it.
Oh, this is such an important lesson. Is like the second that we're like, oh, none of this, all or nothing, right? We begin that sort of like, I don't know about you, when I do all or nothing, I get a feeling of superiority. Like, I'm like, see, look at me.
Yeah. Well, I tend to feel like, well, I've conquered that. Like I've solved that problem. I'm never going to have to mess with that again.
Yeah.
And that's not true.
No,
You're always, your body's changing, your environment's changing. Like these are not things that you can just say,
yeah,
this no longer affects me. So
no.
I'm feeling good about that part. And I think it's so far just keeping it out. I also, in the past, when I would really be great on my diet or fasting or not drinking, I would avoid social encounters because then it would mess it up. And I was on a streak and I was doing well. And I would think if I could just get through this, then I'll be done. And then I can go do all that stuff. So I'm trying to not change anything. Like if we go see friends and go to dinner, then we do.
Yeah. Because
you can't hide for 6 months. Right. And until you come out this perfectly not looking like I do now person. So I'm trying. It's a different mentality, but I'm trying to recognize in places that it crops up for me.
I love this. And I'm guessing like, all of us can relate to that, right? Of saying like, oh, I'm just gonna, or, just being like, oh, I can't handle going to that thing with those people because I'm not gonna have fun. I mean, I remember it. But what you're doing now is what I really ask people to learn in Target 100 is called flexible restraint, right? You're not saying I'm never going to have a glass of wine again, right? You're saying I'd rather learn how to go into every situation and decide, if that's right for me now or not right for me, and attach to the positive outcomes. But by hiding under a rock, we don't learn anything. By doing all or nothing, we don't learn anything. That's why, when people are like, oh, why is it that I dieted and then I gained all the way back, right? Like you said, if you don't go out with friends, you don't know how to go out with friends and order a meal that's on, track for you, or maybe decide, you know what, I'm going to have seltzer tonight and be good with that. Or so there's no learning in all or nothing. So all or nothing is really like it's a recipe for insanity.
Well, yeah.
Because really, like I think about it, I was so miserable during those times that I did do that, and then came out the other side expecting that I could just go into life without having no training, right? Like no experiences to say, oh, well, now here I am. I'm just going back to the old me.
It's a good point that it is retraining and learning, because it's ingrained in my head. Like if people come over, then I give them wine and I make sure they still have wine, because then the conversation will stop and then they'll leave. But that's not true.
No.
It doesn't stop when they don't leave. So it is reprogramming, and in a different way, because I would just not drink anything for a while and then go into these, go into a party with somebody that's a little bit annoying and just white knuckle through it. And, you know, I need to learn how to do those things and enjoy them and have some moderation and a little bit of restraint. And so I'm baby stepping on with that and the alcohol.
Well, and retraining and relearning. I love what you said. I think that's a really excellent way to frame this. We're retraining and relearning, like, and that's fine. Like, we do that all the time. We do that in our careers. We do that with our
Right.
spouses. We don't, "Oh, okay, now, we're in this stage of life and I'm relearning, like, what exercise is for me, or I have a new job and I'm retraining to learn something new that's happening in my skill set," right? It's not something that occurs overnight, but when we put it in the weight category, we just expect that we just go turn it off, or there is no retraining or relearning. We just go over there and now we're different. There's
Right.
a process that happens in between.
Right.
So,
Right.
so this is one section of the plan. How are you in the other pillars? What's going on for you at this point?
Okay. So sleep is good. Sleep is great. I need a lot of sleep. I go to bed early. Food without alcohol, really not hard for me. I know all the things. The alcohol tends to make me munchy if I'm not having it. I enjoy salads. I'm not that, I have the food, staying in the food has been pretty good. Water, good. My water bottle, the battery died over the holidays and I was out of town and I was distraught. Like, it's like, no, I have to count. No, I can't. I have to finish it completely so I can count 20 ounces. So, okay, that's maybe not restraint, but water, good. Movement, I'm getting there most days. I work from home. So anytime I'm on the phone or on a Marco or something where I can move, I'm walking circles in the house. So that is helping and I'm getting out. The thing I've got to pick back up is exercise. And I am not good. Like I've had all the phases. I remember when the Reebok step was new and that was great. And you put more steps on and then you were better and so much harder than high impact aerobics and the spins classes and the yoga phase and the marathon phase. Like, so when I needed to get in shape 10 years ago, I would just sign up to run a half marathon or, because then I would have to do it. I have been sedentary more sedentary in the last couple of years than I've ever been. And I need to go back. I want to exercise, but last fall I did one Peloton intro to strength class and I could barely move for 4 days. It was like, oh my Lord, okay, that wasn't even hard. So I need to figure out a way to step back into something that works for me. I especially miss the weightlifting, and I have the resources to do that here. I have a gym I like. I don't want to go to the gym because I'm afraid I'm so sedentary. Because we do go to a CrossFit gym, which I know sounds crazy, but the owner's great. The programming is good. It's not what you see on TV.
Yeah.
For the most part, but I can't go do that. I physically cannot go do that. So I need, when I listen to your kickoff call and the short goals to get to the goals, I need to understand how to do that. Cause I try to put myself, like, if you sign up for a marathon, you got to get there, and then I have to do the training. And that's not what I need to do now, but I can't figure out schedule wise or what to do. That's the one I'm wrestling with.
Oh, I love that. Well, but I do also love that you have this big old backlog of things that worked and you've done and that you remember. That's a really great thing that you have the sort of bedrock there. The thing that keeps striking me is that you're talking about the marathon training, right? And just for anyone who's never trained for a marathon, I mean, you start out very slow, right? Like,
Right.
And then it ramps up over time. So I want you to kind of borrow that idea, right, of training. And then thinking about, so it sounds to me from listening to you that weight training is on your mind and sort of more like resistance style, CrossFit style stuff is on your mind and not running.
No, I think I hit my Forrest Gump moment with running.
Great.
I was done one day. I was done, but I miss. At my age, weight lift resistance is important. I have osteoporosis in my family. I really enjoyed the big lifting. I didn't always enjoy the really hard workouts, but the lifting, and I miss you feel better, you look better. I had to put together pictures for some things over the holidays. And when I, go all the way back and was looking through stuff, when I was lifting heavy weights was when I looked the best in my whole life, which I know it's not directly correlated, but the thing with me in exercise and other stages is there's no flexibility. Like if I'm going to go to, which is what I want now. Before I was like, I'm going to RX all the CrossFit workouts, or I'm going to, I'm going to do yoga for 3-day weekends. And I need to incorporate it. And I would do one thing at a time, stepping back into something. And I want it to be involved with resistance training. And I just like, I want to find, I don't know, the magic program that'll say for people who don't move anymore, that want to do overhead squats, like that maybe that would help me get it going again.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, and I will say like this, I was thinking about this like just the other day, just because, I'm back very much so into weight training and feeling so good. So I'm going to kind of give you that energy of like what that does for you mentally, spiritually, emotionally. It's like and I want women to hear it in general, like how empowering it is.
Oh, it's the best, because lifting big weights does not make you big. But when you can lift big weights, super fun. It is empowering.
Yeah. So that's why I'm kind of trying to connect you to that. I'm always trying to connect you to the positive payoffs and benefits. But many people are in your state, right? And I was in your state. Like I've never sat like this, and now I sit all day some days, right? And so kind of coming out of COVID and getting myself back into shape. But I still want us to go back to that marathon training idea, right? Is like you had 4 days on and 3 days off or something like that. Okay. So, and I'm taking notes like I always do, only because you did it so much and it's a metaphor for what I think, we want to kind of create for you. The other thing I'm thinking about that I have really come to value is the mixing up of things. So it sounds like to me you had like these pods of like, I did yoga for like, I was super yoga woman,
yes.
then I was super weight woman. What I'm really, really seeing to be success is for you to do a mix of those things. And what that does is like, it keeps that soreness at bay a little bit as you are coming out of this. Also, because you have some background in this, your body very quickly will come through the soreness. So it is a temporary thing. Okay.
Oh, I hope so. Because I did not work out the soreness when I did the class. And I know that was a mistake, but right now I feel like my body's saying, no,
yeah,
not for you. But
so, yeah, no, I think that's it, is the stretching and then the movement that next day is so important. Right. So I think we want to focus on that so that we can just build you up. Right.
Right.
So, it's almost like we're creating your own little marathon program, and it is a marathon, right? You do need to start very, very slowly, just like you would in your marathon training. Like this is not, you're not out there running 5 miles. Maybe it's a mile, right? If it's even. Have you ever done the couch to 5K?
I haven't, because when I was running, I was
You're
running, and
Yeah.
when I wasn't running. But I know that is what I need, something like that.
Like 90 seconds on and 30
to just
seconds off. Like it's such a simple thing. And so I want you to kind of do the same thing. I think what we also should do is think about your body parts, because it sounds like you have the Peloton, right? And
I have not been on it in months.
some weights.
We have, my son has a whole garage gym. Yeah.
Okay, right. And so this is, I think, so exciting to me because you have all the resources, and it's, I think we think of like, just like sort of what we did with wine, right? Is like, we pick days. We just said like Monday, we're just not going to drink on Mondays, and then see what happens from there and look where we are. Right. What if we say like Tuesday is arm day, Thursday is leg day? These are 10-minute workouts on Peloton.
And Peloton has those listed, right? I can find them.
Oh my God, you literally go to the weight training and you sort it, and it's like there is a 10-minute arm circuit
Okay.
and a 10-minute lower body circuit, right? And we start there. It just and I'm just saying Tuesday, Thursday, you can say to me like, no, Liz, I've got work and it's really Wednesday, Friday is better for me,
Right.
you know.
But yeah, I do know from history, if I can get started, I like it and I will keep going.
This is the
It's
truth
just
with
the
yeah.
start.
Well, in the start, what people tend to do is right, they say, oh, it isn't enough, this 10 minutes, right? It's not going to do anything. It is. It's going to remind you and your body that, even a small amount of work right now is going to make a difference. That 10 minutes is going to turn into so much more over time, right? But right now I keep always lowering the bar for people. Lower the bar, right? So just take one day off of drinking, right? Like, and then
Right.
so like, oh, okay, I don't need it on Tuesday or Wednesday either. Like same thing with this exercise piece. Just lower, lower, lower the bar, continuously lower the bar. So a 10-minute arm circuit with very light weights. The biggest thing I need not to happen right now is for you to get sore. I don't need you
Yeah.
sore. I need you
Right.
to just be like, I did that. I went down and I created the habit of going to the basement, putting it on, doing the weights, and then going upstairs. You know,
Okay.
so 10-minute arms, 10-minute lower body.
That the other I always struggle with scheduling it, but I can schedule 10 minutes.
That's why I'm doing this
I'm
as
in my sweatpants anyway, most of the
yeah.
time. So yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's why I'm doing it as well. So let's talk about that because I think that's another big issue that people deal with is like, when am I going to do this? So realistically, what's going to work for you?
In the class, I set aside 30 minutes. I feel so guilty about this. I will just tell you straight up. But at some point, a long time ago, my kids were on different schedules. They were on, they're in elementary school for what felt like forever, and they were in different schools. And I had an hour break in between, and I started sitting down, having a cup of coffee, and relaxing in front of the TV. And now, fast forward all these years, I really like a long, slow start to my day, about 90 minutes, really crappy Bravo TV that I adore, and coffee. And then I start my day just beating myself up that I'm late. So I put a 30-minute window in after that, and then I don't always do it. Then my brain wants to go figure out the perfect schedule, and well, that's not going to work long term. And then you got to do this. And uh, but I can do 10 minutes, even if it's the business feels like it's on fire.
Yeah.
I'm trying to let go of the guilt because I enjoy that time so much, which sounds silly, but it's
No,
relaxing. I don't know. I love it.
I grant you to be free of your guilt.
Okay.
Okay. Like no guilt on that. Everyone has to figure out what is right for their day, right? That's what this industry is so filled with is like, you should do this in the morning and you should get up at 5 in the morning and you should do a
Oh,
cold
yeah.
bath and then you should do 18 minutes of meditation and
Right. Work out
read this
twice a day.
and work
Right.
out
Yeah.
twice a day and do it. You have to do it in the morning. No, like thank you for admitting that this is what your morning is. Because I get to work with people. A lot of people, especially like with COVID, have created these morning routines that are, and I even do a luxurious morning routine. Mine just is more Twitter and coffee and a fireplace. But I get up, and that is how I start my day, right? Like, so no guilt or shame there. Own that and
Okay.
say, I refuse to give up what I love. Right? We did the same thing with wine. I refuse to give up what I love, but I also want this. So where do I put it? And maybe the Bravo and that relaxation time is your reward for doing the 10 minutes. Maybe it's
May-
after.
I think it's after, although without the wine, with it's easier.
Sure.
Like starting is easier. But I do have a sleep question tied into there. I was a champion sleeper before menopause, and I'm now learning how to sleep in menopause. And the CBD gummies you recommended are amazing. Like I'm on subscription. I
Life
adore them. Yeah, they're fabulous. My plan, if I get up at 6, which most days I am ready at 6, then I have my 90 minutes at 7:30. I've got time to do this stuff, and I get my son out the door. But sometimes I feel like I don't want to get up at 6, and I just roll over till 7:30 because I can. And I can't tell if it's like, sometimes I think it's not as good as sleep, or I don't know. I debate.
Yeah.
I should have still gotten up at 6, but I was really tired. What am I doing with that? I don't even know.
All I can tell you is I'm guessing everyone can identify with you, right? Like where you're like, oh, it feels so good. I don't want to get up. The greatest thing that I have learned is that is a trick. Like it's a trick for me personally, is like I hear that voice and it's almost like where I've identified like, oh, there it is. Okay, like put your feet on the floor. Like, cause
Well, that's what I'm asking. It's better to just get up at the same time and establish that, because as soon as I get in there and have a cup of coffee, I'm okay. It's not like I've been up till 3 a.m. at a rager.
right.
Maybe
That's
I
what
went to
I've
bed at,
identified for myself. And I
right.
don't
Okay.
want to say that that's true
Okay.
for you. And listen, I do it sometimes too. I'm not perfect. I get a B all the time, right? But the
Right.
majority, and I've really trained myself. And funny thing, right? In COVID, we didn't have to take the kids to school anymore. And like my
Right.
morning routine got all like, I was like, who am I? I'm sleeping till 8. Like, I don't even understand. I used to get up at 5:30. Like, like all of a sudden everything was changing. And it just became a habit pattern that then I had to break. Same thing with this that you're talking about. It's
Yes.
like the more you do it, the more the brain says, okay, then the alarm goes off and we go like this. No, it's so nice in here. Let's stay. So the more
Yes.
you put your feet on the floor, the more the brain says, oh, when that alarm goes off, we put our feet on the floor. So I always think in those terms, is what I repeatedly do becomes easier. You've seen it with the wine. Like
Right.
I'll
Right.
go days without thinking about a glass of wine now. Like, and I'm like, oh, wow. It's just whatever you repeatedly do, the brain, this broken computer says, oh, control alt delete, got you. Right. Oh, control alt escape. Okay, got you.
Right.
So you just kind of want to always think about how you behave, how can you trigger the behavior that you want to have, and connecting to the fact that, like, same for me is like the second I get down there and pour that coffee, I'm like, I'm so glad.
I'm so
Oh,
thrilled. I'm like, and I'm
yeah.
setting myself up to do the thing I really enjoy. So I think in really tracking my sleep, I was thinking, well, I just need that extra 90 minutes. Most of the time I don't.
Yeah.
Most of the time I don't want it, but
Sometimes
I
you
will.
will, right?
Sometimes I will. Yeah.
Yeah. And we're setting up a plan here that isn't like, oh my God, your whole life has to change tomorrow. This is like we're planting seeds in the exercise. So it sounds like it's after 9:30.
Yeah. If I start I call it morning time. If I
Yeah.
start my morning time about 6:30, I'm done by 8, if not 7:30. And I can do 10 minutes. The other thing that helps is I used to get up and this is probably too much information. I would just get up and throw my robe on and go do that. And then it would run into it's time to go do other things. And I'm still in my robe and I just feel like a slob.
Yeah.
So I started putting my yoga pants and t-shirt beside the scale and I just feel like more of an adult.
Oh my
And
God.
I'm going to try to keep doing that and then just do the 10 minutes. So I think it's after
Yeah.
for me, but before I have to deal with getting him out of the house and the work and all the stuff.
Okay. So we've identified where it goes. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, and that's really important. So we're up, we're doing morning routine, we're going, it sounds like the scale is attached to the exercise clothes. That's all happening. You're just going to pop it in there, 10 minutes. One day it's an arm circuit, one day it's a lower body. we can go, you'll notice it goes, and you can go for a 15-minute, and then you can go for 15-minute legs. There are yoga classes that I would say, put in a yoga here and there, right? Just a 10 to 15-minute yoga. We could do
Yeah,
something each day of your 5 days a week, but it would all be different.
right. I will try that.
Yeah,
That
it
is the beautiful thing about the Peloton, and you can search by time and
totally.
exercise. And I love picking the music for a ride. My personal best was a Bon Jovi ride.
There you go, right?
Um,
So one day it's a ride, but I just want you to lower the bar on this so that we get in the structure of, right, Control Alt Delete, the morning time, and then this happens, and then that happens, right? Do, 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 do. I walk down the
yeah,
steps, I do this. It's not strenuous. I'm not like super sweaty. I don't even have to blow out my hair right now. Like, but we can't get to where you want to go without this baby step
okay,
of this. Okay. And it will very quickly ramp up, very quickly.
yeah. Lowering the bar is. I even work for a software company where we challenged each other to raise the bar. Like that was just part of our culture. So thinking about it the other way makes so much sense and feels weird.
It,
But so does eating rice with dinner because I have enough carbs left and I'm still losing weight. That's like
yeah.
mind blowing. Like,
Yeah. Mine,
wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
It can be balanced and it can fit in your life. I think we
Yeah.
learned that it had to be this crazy, painful, awful thing. And you see, what I'm doing with the exercise here is to ask you to do it in a way that doesn't hurt.
Right. And I have spent so much mental energy. Well, I should go back to this gym, or I should go do that, or I should, like wrestling with what I should do next.
Yeah.
But I can do 10 minutes. And
I think that's a great point out that you just had. And I think it's a great red flag. I love to think about red flags. I've got red flags, and then I have buoys in my life, right? Things that like make me feel like good and elevated and like I'm floating, right? That I'm buoyed, right? And then I have these
right.
things that make me feel like, oh, danger ahead, right? I think whenever I'm feeling that, like that mental, that mental junk, it's a
Yeah.
red flag to me that I am going to a place that's not right for me, and I should lower the bar. So it's and it's so interesting that we're talking about this because we just kicked off our classes. Our classes just started this week, and I'm seeing that this is really hard. It's really hard to not want to do it all right in the beginning here. And like, I got to do my 5-5-5 and my behavior modification, and I got to get it all right, and I have to hit it out of the park. And we're talking this new language and going, please don't hit it out of the park. Please stop.
It is such a red flag. And it's so like lowering, even after talking about not drinking on Monday, lowering the bar didn't even really occur to me. Like I didn't put exercise in my class because I was like, I'm working on all these other things, but it's been on my mind. I need to, obviously do the pillar, but be a healthy adult human. And that includes exercising. And it's just really been swirling. Well, what are you going to do? Where are you going to go here? Are you going to go there? Are you going to sell a Peloton? Are you going to go?
Yeah.
When you're right, I have everything I need. I just need to step into it.
Yeah.
And that seems
every
hard
good
when you're
thing.
trying to figure out how to go do something big.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing that I think is so interesting is that you have it's sort of like the food pillar when I say like nobody doesn't know that the apple's a better choice than the Snickers bar, right? A lot
Right.
of people get overwhelmed by exercise because they don't have any experience in it, right? You're like this wonderful wealth of experience of like, I know what I like. I know where I'm eventually where I think I want to go. I
That's so
think,
kind. Yeah.
yeah, no, it really, I mean, you've been doing it and you
Well,
have,
that's such again, a different way to paint it because I think of all the things I started and stopped.
because the brain is a freaking mean girl all the time. She
Yeah.
only tells you, and I see you and I go, wonderful, you did all of those things. This is like you have this giant repertoire to pick from. This is fabulous, right? You're not
Right.
starting from scratch. You have a big palette. And so I love like really thinking in every pillar. When you start to get that feeling of like, I should, and what am I going to do? And then it's like, I want you to pick, and this is for everyone in every pillar, is pick something that seems so ridiculously small that it almost makes you laugh. And just start there. Like,
Well, I guess I kind of did that with walking, with the movements. Because
yes,
again, you're the first person that ever explained the difference in movement and exercise to me. Because when I was CrossFitting, I wasn't walking around the neighborhood because I was like, I've
CrossFit.
done all this stuff, but that did not help now. But I just, because I knew that was one I could do, just started walking in circles in the house, even when it's rainy and I'm on the phone. And as soon as I leave my house, the cell service drops. And it was mind blowing how it added up.
And that's the lovely part, about the data collection that we can do now. I do love Peloton for that, because it's going to start to spur you on. You're going to be like, I did 4 classes last week. I did 5 classes this week. I did this
Right.
many minutes of exercise in my wheel. Like, and it becomes this thing that grows on itself. But like, again, I always say it's like about flowers, right? Like in the spring, we're all going to plant flowers, and we take this tiny seed and we put it in the dirt, and it just like grows really, really slowly. And we never like go outside and go like, flower, why are you growing like that? We see it as
We
very
don't,
natural, right?
right. We
I'm
don't
trying
yell
to
at
take
flowers.
back
Yeah.
to this seedling space. Because of your history, you will grow very quickly. That's all I can tell you, is you'll grow very quickly. But I'm thinking of like so many incredible rock stars that we have in this group, that that really, with the movement, with the exercise, it's just like, okay, I'm not sure what I can do. I'm thinking of Kathy Hopfer, who's now, she'd never done a swim class in her life, and she went and she started, and then, now she's going several times a week. Sometimes she's doing 2 classes. She hadn't exercised in years, right? So it has to start somewhere. So we're
Right.
getting you started, and let yourself be where you are. Let yourself, if you're like, wow, that felt great, I'd like to do a 5-minute ab circuit while I'm down here, let it happen, instead of forcing it and or jumping to, which gym am I going to join? Am I going back to CrossFit?
Right. I should leave the house because I'm always in the house. I shouldn't work out in the house. I should go somewhere. I mean, I like it. I need to recognize that as not problem solving, but just beating myself up, because I think my brain disguises it as, well, you're just trying to figure this out, but I'm really not. But
It's always that, right? It's so funny. Like, I think if you go back and watch a lot of these real life coachings, it always goes back to the fact that we're just beating ourselves up inside. Like, it's
mm,
just like this natural human response, and the learning to understand that voice. I mean, that's that red flag, right? That we were talking about. It's really just this mean girl or this mean guy, this mean person inside of you telling you that nothing is enough, right? And it just lives there. And anyone who tells you they don't have it, they're lying.
right.
Everyone has it. The way that you get ahead is always to quiet that, go to that smallest thing that you could do, and let it grow.
Mm.
And it's counterintuitive, right? In this culture that pushes and pushes and says, put the bar higher, and, jump farther and you'll be better.
Well, it kind of rewards stress. I mean, there's certainly times in my professional life, if you weren't stressed, you weren't on the right projects, you weren't on the right team, you weren't selling enough, you weren't,
Yeah.
and you start to associate that with success or winning. And it's like, logically, I know it's not, but I really hadn't thought of, maybe that's bled over into other parts of my life.
Absolutely. And that's okay, because again, the brain is just a habit looping machine. So it starts to get oh, I understand. Like, this is how we operate. We, like, if we're not feeling this stressful thing, I've been trained, we're not doing it right. So,
Right.
right. So it's just a habit looping pattern. And you can unlearn, right? Like we talked about, we're retraining and relearning how to be successful anywhere, is to actually, and I use this in my job all the time, is like, oh God, this thing. And then I just go and I make the tiniest move on it. And then something beautiful comes out of it. And it's much more natural and more creative than me being like, I have to do this, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's gonna stick.
So it's,
The other one that I'm not, and I shouldn't blow food off as easy. It's pretty easy during the week. I'm still tracking it
yeah.
to make sure.
Uh-huh.
But I have it, exercise and stress were the two I didn't tackle. And I um tend we had some rough stuff going on in 22 family wise. So I treated all that stress with food and alcohol, which was really not the best idea. But I can look back at it now and recognize that that was my coping mechanism and that I
Right.
need a different one. But I don't know if my relaxing morning counts as not stressing. Like I still want to do one of David's breathwork classes. I can't seem to find an hour when I'm alone because everybody's here. Um, I don't know what to do about that one. I think I'm not even thinking about that one as
Yeah.
much.
Well, and I love that you're starting to connect. Yeah. Your morning time is. And that's why I was like
Okay.
very keyed in on you not giving that up.
Okay.
Like it was palpable that you love this time and you're happy with it.
It
Right.
makes me happy.
Yeah.
Makes me happy. I don't know why. It makes me happy. Makes me too happy. When my son comes downstairs, he's like, "Don't talk to me. I
Yeah.
just woke up and I've had, I'm awake and happy and ready to
Yeah.
hug him." And it's not where he is, but that helps because I've beat myself up about that time for a long time.
No, no. And again, I'm reframing. This is wonderful. You deserve that. Like wow, the rest of the 24 hours of your day are dedicated to everyone else. I mean, I beg for
Yeah.
women to take time for themselves in whatever way makes them to feel good, right? For people in general, to just take time for yourselves. I don't care what it looks like, no judgment. Like every one of us has our own things that make us happy. So that is the only thing I would say is, and you learned this in the course about stress, is it kind of is one of those things that you want to pick up some tools
Right.
along the way that help you. Um, just turn the radio off throughout the day, and you're doing that with your walking, you're doing that with your morning routine. The exercise, honestly, I think will begin to be another stress reliever for you. um,
Right.
and you know it sounds like stress is a habitual pattern for you.
And I'm a worrier in
Yeah.
chief. My husband calls me safety first, Sondra, because like there's an emergency. I've already located the exits.
Yeah.
I've got your kid, my kid, an emergency,
Yeah.
which is a strength and a weakness because I worry and plan for things when I don't need to. So I kind of know how to keep myself okay, like with the morning routine, and I know exercise will help, but I need to find some tools when I'm in that moment.
Well,
Something's going downhill and that's not a glass of wine.
yeah.
And I can't make everybody leave so I can watch TV. Well, I know I need to pick up.
Well, and that's why I think I'm such a fan of you kind of like getting into some of the yoga with the Peloton. It's 10 minutes. Like you could pop that in. I that's how I broke my Friday night wine habit, was like I started doing Friday night yoga because I realized just wanted to unwind from the week. Like I just was like
Right.
here. And it wasn't the wine that I was looking for. It was like a that I was looking
Right.
for. So
Right.
I think, even that of like, you know, you can do it on your phone. You don't even have to go down to the gym. Like you don't have to do anything. Just pop in a quick restorative yoga, a breathing that's not David's, that's an hour, like just 10 minutes. People are using the Insight Timer, which is a meditation app. Have you ever heard of it?
I have not. So I'm going to write
Oh,
that down.
it's fantastic. And I'll put it on your notes here. Insight Timer. And for anyone, I'll put it in the chat. Insight Timer. And literally, like, they have a 30-day challenge and it starts with 1 minute. Like, I'm talking about lowering the bar. Like, and
Oh,
it's wonderful. So it's free. Like, it's this just wonderful resource. You can pay for like other parts of it, but it's really, you don't even need to. And it helps you. It just helps you be like, oh, it's only a minute, you know? And attaching that to your workout would be a great 1-2 punch.
okay. That's a great idea.
Right. So I love to have it snap, like put them together. So like we'll go like, okay, then a 1 minute meditation. When I train people, when I personal train people physically, we do our workout and then I have them do shavasana to music for 5 minutes on the ground after we work out.
Savasana was my favorite part of yoga. I could go to sleep.
It's yoga. You're doing
I would
yoga.
wake up when they put the cold rock on my head.
Well, and so that's all I'm saying is like,
But I haven't done it since the yoga class.
well, I think it's it, right? It's like we
It just
putting,
never occurred to me.
yeah.
Right.
So we could totally just put that in. You're doing yoga, you're doing Shavasana, right? Like, but the thing about it is that I love so much, I do yoga like twice a week now. And I was always kind of like running and hardcore and weightlifting and bodybuilding and like have during COVID picked it up. And I'm like, now I'm just like, how did I live without it? But it's that time where you lay on the ground. Like, we never lay on the ground and actually ground ourselves during the day.
Mm-mm.
I mean, never. We lay in a bed, we lay on a couch, we sit in a chair. Laying on the ground and grounding yourself for 3 to 5 minutes with beautiful music playing is truly life-changing. Like, you're just grounded,
Oh, that I can do.
right? So again, look where we put the bar. You go lay
Well,
on.
again, it never occurred to me that I would never think I could do Savasana because I didn't do the yoga. So then I shouldn't do the Savasana. But
It's funny how our brains sort things, huh?
yeah,
This
but
goes
it was, I mean, their yoga is great for a lot of things, but clear-headed, I don't know, things would come to you. It was just the best part.
connected, right?
Right.
Which is what we're all looking for, is that feeling of like, I am me. I feel good. I know who I am. I'm connected to myself. Whereas we can get so out here. Stress puts us out here. It gives us decision fatigue and it makes us do riskier decisions. And we're so not grounded in the stress state.
No,
So
no.
it's like, I'm just giving you back Shavasana for whenever you want it. You can do it in the middle of your workday. All it is just lay on the ground, palms up, let your feet go. Don't
That
even,
is mine. I can't wait.
yeah, right? It's
Like,
looks,
that's exciting. Yeah. When I was thinking of the stress pillar, I took a positive intelligence class and supposed to do that 5 times a day. And somebody else was going to teach me. Like, I kept thinking of all these complicated things. I didn't think in terms of lowering the bar and just having some Savasana.
and so I think that's sort of our lesson today, right? Is like when it starts to get like, I should do this and I should do that, I want you to like think about the smallest thing you could do. And uncoupling and being open to things being disconnected from what they actually were connected to before, right? So like the Savasana now being disconnected from yoga, I can take whatever piece of whatever thing that I want to take whenever I want it. It's empowerment to the
It's,
end of the earth.
yeah. I tend to think well, my career is software, so you learn to think linearly.
Yeah.
but I never thought about taking the best parts of all the things that I've enjoyed. And do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? I always think of it like, well, I do this when I do that. I went to a yoga class last summer with my daughter because she was home and wanted to go. The full hour hot class, and I thought I was going to die. I was not sure I was getting out. I was like, I got one shot at getting out of this room and not passing out.
I did one with David over the summer myself and like had been doing it regularly and thought the same thing. Like,
It
so,
used to be my favorite, but I don't apparently,
yeah.
no, it's not.
I wrote this down like this is Target 100. Take the best parts of everything, weave them together into something that you love. Whereas the entire
Oh, I gotta write that down.
right? And I did, I put take the best parts of all things and then
Okay.
weave them together. I'm always trying to return power, whereas the industry has continuously taken it from you and said, no, you need to do this, 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 and this. And if you don't do it in that order, then you're bad and you need to go back, start over
Right.
because you suck, you're broken.
And if you mess up, then you just weren't strong enough to say, no, you're in charge, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
So that
But it's,
voice lives in us.
yeah, I'm excited.
I
I was really uh, thinking I've got to set aside time because I like to research and plan, and like I could run the world in spreadsheets. I love them that much. Problem solving spreadsheets. But I was really, in addition to for the exercise, carrying around, I need to do the research. I need to sit down and do some research time. Like somebody's going to have a plan, like the couch, like we were talking about the couch to 5K. That's the get back in the weights, and then I'll follow the plan. And to think about just starting with 10 minutes is so, I mean, it makes me want to giggle, like that it's silly and easy. And that I can't screw that up.
yeah.
I guess I think I just make things harder, or I want to
Well,
do it the
I think it's good to examine. I think it's again, I'm pulling you back from all that language, like I want to make this harder, or it's just mean
right,
girl. It's just mean girl. I would never say that to
right.
you, right? Like it's just mean girl. She shows up all the time. Well, and I'm just saying, all I want you to know is the feeling that you have right now when you think about the plan that we've put together today. It's so simple, it makes me want to giggle. Where you're
Yeah, it's like, I mean, and it's silly, but
no, but that's joyful and
it
that's
is joyful.
interested and that's curious.
It's hope.
It's hope.
It's hope.
I got chills when he said that.
It's hope. I will put things off and not start things because I don't think about what's the first easy step until I know I can conquer. And I recognize that, but I haven't been able to figure out how to offset it, if that makes sense. Like,
Absolutely. And I guarantee you, everyone listening right now can relate to that. It's a perfectionism. It's it's how the brain works is let me get this all straight to protect you. Like you said, right? I'm the chief safety officer, I think is what you called yourself, right?
right.
You've got a brain that is constantly working on all of the outcomes that could go wrong.
Mhm.
You've got a job that has you working linearly on all of the outcomes that could go wrong. I'm asking you to actually think very differently. We come from curiosity, we come from hope, we come from making it simple, we make it small. It doesn't need to be linear, doesn't have to be a program, right? It can be joyful, all of those things. Those are very different than the way that your brain has been operating. The thing I always am trying to teach people is that your brain is a computer and it will learn, it will relearn, unlearn, retrain
Right.
to
Right.
go this way. You'll need to remind it because this is a new thing for you. Just keep reminding yourself to try this way. Especially when you're feeling stressed, see if you can't say, I'm going to go over here and do that thing that we did with the exercise. And I'm gonna like kind of drop all of the need to go all in. And I'm going to instead allow myself to take a baby toe in the pool and see what the temperature is, and then go put my foot in and my leg in, and then maybe go swim.
Right. There's a lot of things I haven't, well, I tend to think if I haven't started it, then I haven't messed up or haven't,
Mm. Oh, that's fascinating.
right. If I haven't started yet, then I just haven't started. Then I haven't started and failed, or started and kind of did it.
Huh.
But there's lots of ideas and projects I haven't started that I have never thought about what would be one tiny step, or at least to think about how to get them out of my head, take a step that, so I'm not like constantly thinking or worrying about the next thing.
And I think you're hitting on such an important point too, that I see even in the weight loss, mostly in the weight loss space, is like, I started and now it has to go right. And if I don't go right, then I failed. And I
Right.
don't,
Then I'm gonna eat nachos till Monday, and then I'm gonna start again. Right.
and everyone knows that this is, for me, there is no start, finish, end. You're just doing. And I now just think that way in my whole life. My whole life. That project that you think you haven't started, you actually did start. It's ongoing. They're all ongoing.
Well, that is what Target 100 did for me this fall. We were on the road. Everybody in my class is tired of hearing about this. Football weekends, like, just total food debauchery. But I lost a little bit and I didn't gain. And I was looking at a fall where I would have been like, I just can't do this till January, and it would have been 20 more pounds. But in my head, I was thinking, well, I'm just kind of doing it because I didn't do the exercise pillar. I didn't do this, but the ones I was doing were enough
They were not.
to get me through. I hadn't, and I knew that it was working, but I thought, well, I'll do it better when I get the pillars, when I am hitting on all cylinders.
And that again, just a mean girl, right?
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't ever say that to anybody else. You'd be like,
No.
oh my God, Sandra, you did that. Like you went to these football games and this, then you did that. You rocked it. And you saw that from your classmates. They were like, you killed it, girl. Like, and your coaches. And and saw that you as successful, whereas the you inside of you was like, well, I'm going to do this better. Like you, like, can you imagine your coach being like, well, you really haven't implemented all those pillars yet, Sondra, and you'll get better, but I guess you're sort of doing it, like.
No, but I thought I mean, well, I'll be honest with you. I thought, because I'm at a really high weight, almost crazy menopausal high weight, because I ate my way through the stress. I thought it's working really because when you have a lot of weight to lose, it's easier to get started. Like it's coming off because I'm so fat. If this was my last 5 pounds, it wouldn't come off. That is truly what I told myself.
The mean girl? Like she was like, can you imagine saying that to one of your classmates? Like as
No. Wouldn't even think it about them.
never, never. No, but inside, and that's why I do so much work on this, even with myself, and it doesn't ever go away. And that's okay. Like it's just an ongoing narrative. But now I hear the narrative and I love hearing you. And thank you for your vulnerability and honesty of like, oh God, this is what's going on for all of us all the time. Is there's this voice that says we're either not enough, we're not doing enough, we haven't done enough, like we should have done more, right? All of it is constantly ongoing. All we need to do is learn to hear it and then learn to quiet it, right? Those things like shavasana, those things, your
Right.
morning routine, those things like smaller actions that then you don't just take the small action and go like, well, I did 10 minutes, you go like, I did 10 minutes, and you celebrate every single tiny win. And guess what? It just keeps going.
Right.
Because
Well,
it's coming from a joyful place.
and it's not hard. Like the changes that I made, that I learned to make, were not hard in that. Did I always gain 100 carbs, no, but I forget what David said in one class, like, it's okay to go to 120, but don't get upset and go to 400. And I was like, oh, I did that every day. It was going to be recognizing those extremes, but it certainly doesn't feel like a diet or that it's over.
No.
But
Yeah, you've already erased those pieces, right? But that
but
was
I,
full pattern thinking. Oh, I went to 120, I go to 400, right? Like,
well, then all bets are off. Then I just, then
yeah,
I've just, but I don't think about, it's also really hopeful to think about the things I wrestle with in my head, not having to be there. Like, that's kind of mind blowing.
that is the heart and soul of Target 100. Okay, can I just have peace and quiet in here?
Okay, I'm not going to cry. Um,
Happy tears.
Hope. That's
Hope.
what it is. Hope. Yeah.
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 And that's what we're here for. Because, I mean, let's do this in a way that feels good, that gives us hope. And the mean girl, she's gonna say it's not possible. No, you have to hurt. It has to hurt. It has to be X, Y, or Z. No, no, I'm gonna just keep going with this. This feels great. Shavasana is awesome, and my morning
Awesome.
routine is awesome. When we operate from there, we don't, we're happy, and we have so much peace.
Right. I knew my morning made me happy, but I still felt bad about it.
Mhm.
But in hindsight, it's ridiculous. But
But you were feeling that way, and that was real. And now
yeah,
hopefully we've released all of that. And you can own it and own everything that you do. And just the way you have with your walking, like with the steps around the house. And now that, that phone goes off and you just stand up and do it. Like that's comes from the work. We're just
right.
putting in this little work, and that all of these little things grow, just like you did with the wine. And it just kind of goes like, okay, now this is just who I am. There are moments that are hard, but they're really very few and far between when you're doing the things you like.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited. I took a lot of notes. I'm going to send them to you. I'm here for you, right? Like, just let me know when you do that, those 10 minutes, like, we care, like,
I
shout
know.
it
I'm
out.
kind of mind blown. I will.
Yeah,
I will.
that's awesome. Well,
I
thank you
will.
for being here with me. Thank you for being so open. I know this will be very powerful for people. We're all wired very similarly. And so, we're all rooting for you and here for you.
Thank you. I can't thank you enough. I really can't. I really appreciate it.
Yay. I love the word hope, and lots of love coming to you in the chat. So mwah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Mwah.
We'll
Thank
see you
you.
in the community. Okay, we'll be
Yes.
there for you.
Yes.
All right.
Bye.
Have a great night.
You too.